Yo, what's up guys? My name is Caleb, otherwise known as the Critic Kebab, and today we're going to be reviewing The Christmas Chronicles. The Christmas Chronicles is a Netflix original film that's been released in 2018 and stars Kurt Russell as Santa Claus. On Christmas Eve, brother and sister Teddy and Kate Pierce plan to catch Santa Claus on camera, but instead are whisked away on a frantic adventure that they did not anticipate. They meet the infamous Santa and experience the hectic night that is Christmas Eve firsthand, but not in a way that runs smoothly for Santa. Just a reminder, there will be no spoilers until after I've given my grade. This film was directed by Clay Kaytis, who also directed the Angry Birds film, and I felt that he did a good job handling this production. The movie looks great and has a pleasing aesthetic. There is a good sense of wonder that I'm sure children will enjoy, and the performances are pretty good. Kurt Russell was a great choice for Santa Claus. He looks the part and provides a charismatic and charming performance. Judah Lewis, who plays Teddy, was also pretty good. He plays that typical teenager character that thinks Christmas is lame, but when he's introduced to all the magic, he softens up and enjoys the thrills. Now, the little girl Kate is portrayed by Darby Camp, and I felt that she did a good job with her material. I will say that the writing for her character definitely felt like it was written by an adult, because there were a few moments where I questioned if someone her age would actually say that line of dialogue, but I would say it doesn't compromise the character in any way. I thought the chemistry these actors had was fantastic, and it was fun to see them interact. This is a light-hearted, fun adventure film that kids will enjoy, and I think adults will as well. The visual effects were also surprisingly really good and pretty convincing in some moments. Now, I know comedy is subjective, but I had a good time with this movie and laughed when jokes were made. There is some slapstick and kid humor, but it's not overly horrendous. As for issues, the tone is inconsistent in parts. We go from moments of levity to serious moments quite quickly, and it is a bit jarring. There is one scene that is just straight exposition delivered from Teddy outside a church. And I feel that scene could have been done better, I feel. Also, there were 20 minutes of the movie that were overly silly, and it was honestly too much for me. There are also some illogical moments within the screenplay. An example is Santa is encouraging a certain character to make a phone call, but it's like in the middle of the night. And that person on the other end of that call would not want to be having that discussion at that time, because they'd most likely be asleep. So I thought there was just little moments within the screenplay that I just felt were a little bit illogical. Other than that, this is a fun, exciting, and humorous Christmas movie that's worth checking out over this holiday season. Kurt Russell puts his own unique spin on this mythical character, and the story is engaging from start to finish. The Christmas Chronicles will receive a B+, and I would recommend you check this movie out. This is a good family movie that embraces the Christmas spirit and will entertain kids and be worth adults' time. It's streaming now on Netflix, so feel free to check it out. Now I'm going to get into my spoiler chat. So if you've seen the movie, stick around to hear some of my more detailed thoughts with regards to spoilers in this movie. Now the movie opens with that Christmas montage, and we go through all the various years seeing this family really celebrate Christmas. And I thought this was a really clever and easy way of getting you interested and intrigued in these characters. Obviously, the mother's not really in the film a whole lot, but you really get to see the relationship that she had with her kids, but most importantly, her husband, and the way the husband interacted with their kids. So that when that character does pass away, you understand why the kids are so upset by his passing, because he really did have a huge impact on this Christmas holiday season. And a very clever line of dialogue is delivered by the mother, and she says at the beginning of the film, "All I want is for you two to get along for Christmas." And this really gets you intrigued to see if Kate and Teddy do make up and become a good brother and sister to each other over this Christmas period. And you get to see this over this adventure that they do have with Santa and everyone else. Now, this being a Christmas movie, it does obviously follow a lot of tropes that we're familiar with. Obviously, the inciting incident is that Teddy and Kate set up a video camera and they try to capture Santa Claus in the act. I've obviously, everyone's thought about doing this at some stage. I certainly did. So this was a good humorous moment, but it actually worked out for them, and they do their little, trap that they've got set up does work, and they obviously go after Santa, and they make their way into the sled and all that. And from that point on, we just go on this crazy adventure that, again, I had tons of fun with. Now, once the kids are discovered, obviously Santa just completely freaks out and loses it. Obviously his hat flies off. Obviously he loses his sack of toys, and he just has that really sudden crash landing of the sled, and the reindeers go everywhere and stuff. And this really sets up this relationship between Santa and these two people, because now they have to work together to try and get Christmas back on track, which again is another typical trope of Christmas movies, trying to save Christmas. So again, that was quite familiar, but it's always an easy slam dunk for a Christmas narrative. Now, I mentioned in my review that there's this one exposition scene with Teddy outside a church. And obviously this is where they're discussing obviously their father's death. And I just, this scene was just, it kind of just took me out of it. It was very clearly designed to establish the torment and regret that he has, and the kind of distant relationship that he's been having with people because of the passing of his father. And I thought that they could have just done this. I thought they spread out these pieces of dialogue across the film, instead of just having this one sit-down scene where they just dump all this exposition. It was very obvious, and it did kind of slow down the pacing, because I knew what the scene was. It was designed so that this character establishes to the audience what their character journey is going to be later on in the film, and establishing what their emotional state is with their father. And for me, it just didn't work. Now, something that's really interesting in this film that I did not see coming is obviously Santa gets locked up in prison. This was really weird. I really enjoyed the interrogation scene with Santa and the cop, even though I mentioned, he's kind of encouraging him to make that phone call, which didn't make sense. But I love how he just brings out all those toys and tries to persuade him, and then at the end he's eventually just locked up into a prison cell. I thought that was hilarious and really well done. Again, the setup for this I thought was really good, but then when this film completely lost me, it was quite literally at the 1 hour mark. From about the 1 hour to about 1 hour and 20 minutes, that 20-minute period was just completely silly, over the top, humor and all that. And this is obviously when Santa has that concert sort of thing in the prison cell. This movie just went from a typical Christmas adventure to a Christmas music video instantaneously. And it was just completely out of nowhere. Obviously, I'm sure kids will enjoy it, but for me personally, I was this was just shifted the tone so massively. It was really wacky and just, I don't know, it was obviously trying to embrace that Christmas spirit, but I don't know, it was just too much for me. What did you guys think of it? Was the prison Christmas music video, was it alright with you, or was it again too much for you as well? Let me know down in the comments below. I'd be interested to hear. Now, I just briefly mentioned tone. Obviously we go from this music video type scene where it's all fun and exciting, and then we transition very abruptly to this really dramatic, serious, intense scene with Teddy and those I don't know what they were, I guess criminals or something. And this was a really big tonal shift that was really jarring. Obviously you go from this serious confrontation, and then you have all these elves come out as well and start beating up everyone. I know obviously the intention is to be fun and humorous, but just transitioning from this wacky music video to this serious tense scene back to slapstick comedy, it just didn't come together very successfully, in my opinion. And at the end of this film, when Christmas is starting to get back on track, Santa reveals to Teddy and Kate that he didn't need his hat to teleport. I thought this was a unique plot twist because when his hat does fly off at the beginning, they kind of make a big deal about it. And I was like, oh, that might be important. And then obviously later he implies that he needs the hat to teleport between houses and stuff. But then at the end it's revealed that he didn't even need it at all. So I thought this was a fun plot twist and kind of changed the narrative a bit. If going back, obviously if you wouldn't rewatched it. So I thought that was interesting. Obviously Santa takes the videotape that Kate has been using. She's been using that camera to record everything. He obviously steals that so that she can't spread it to the world and, you know, reveal that Santa is a real thing, which I thought was kind of obvious and anticipated. And we get to the end of the film, and obviously Teddy and Kate have received presents from Santa, and I thought this was really touching, the gift that Santa gave to Teddy. Obviously he has a little note saying, you know, I can't fulfill your wish of bringing your father back to life. And then he kind of just shows him that Christmas ornament that kind of just transitions his face into his father's, and they have that brief little exchange. I thought this was fantastic, a great ending to this movie, and a fantastic message, I think, for some children that may have undergone a similar issue where they've lost a parent or a guardian, and they kind of, you know, wish for Santa to bring them back. I thought this was a really good message that was conveyed at the end of this film, that it's not possible to bring people back from the dead, but I thought that the way they ended it with Teddy was really satisfying. The film overall did come together in a satisfying way. Like I said, I really enjoyed this movie. There was about 20 minutes of the film that was just completely wacky and just too full on for me. But overall, I did enjoy myself. I laughed when jokes were made, and I thought Kurt Russell was a fantastic casting choice for Santa Claus. He did a great job in my opinion. Now, I want to hear from you guys. What did you guys think of the Christmas Chronicles? Did you like it as much as I do, or did you not like it? Let me know. Create that conversation down in the comments below. As always, if you liked the video, make sure you hit that like button. And if you're new to the channel, make sure you click subscribe so you don't miss out on any of my upcoming content. Tons of movies are coming out soon, so I'm going to have reviews for a lot of them. So make sure you're sticking around. I just want to say thanks again for watching, and I'll see you in another video. Merry Christmas.